Hello and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor video. This time it is quite a good one, and it's about items, itemization, and the various different kinds of stats and things like that are in the game. And these are very, very sweeping changes. I mean very ground up level sort of stuff. So, basically, they want items to feel exciting, and they think that right now there's just way too many things you have to do. Like when you get a new piece, you have to gem it, enchant it, upgrade it, all that stuff, and it's basically just too many steps. And it doesn't really feel like fun, and it takes away from the initial joy of getting a new piece. They said that hit and expertise don't feel like a bonus, and that avoidance is cool for tanks, but they don't really think it's cool as a stat on gear. Often tanks are pretty bummed when they see avoidance on gear. So to this end, hit and expertise are gone, dodge and parry are gone as well, so, wow. Basically, a lot of these stats are gone. At the end of the day, I don't think these even gave you that interesting gameplay anyway. At the end of the day, when did you have fun thinking about your dodge or parry balance, or when did you have fun thinking about if you were hit capped or not? Really? You didn't have fun, and at the end of the day, this game is at the core being about fun. And I know a lot of people will see this as streamlining and dumbing down, but at the end of the day, I don't really think that it's dumbing down that much. Everyone would just go and make sure, oh, is my hit over 8%? Well, in that case, I'm good to go. That was just one decision that you read off a menu. Not fun, not good game design, so it's great that it's gone. And they have also got rid of some other things. Reforging is gone. They said it was good in paper, but it ended up being terrible. It drags down the excitement of getting new items, so yeah, it's gone. As for enchanting, fewer items can be enchanted, but there are more choices for those items, so they are just trying to make it more of an interesting system. And as for gems, well, fewer items actually have sockets. Gems are more powerful, and there are no socket set bonuses or meta gems. Sockets themselves are actually a bonus on gear that don't count, they don't actually count to the gear like stat values or anything like that. So essentially, this is one of the things that's a little bit like getting a Warforged piece, and there's actually a few other things like that which I'll talk about now. So, for armor changes, first of all, there is no more int plate, and there's no more strength plate. Now, there's only plate, and the same goes for everything else. The primary stats and things like that will change based on the spec. There's one tier per class, meaning that every class will just have one main set, and stat bonuses, set bonuses, things like that, will change depending on spec. This makes things much easier on a bag front, which I think is quite cool as well. Now, they also said that it's not going to operate like this for things like jewelry, cloaks, trinkets, and weapons. They think these are more role-based, so for an example, a healer might want to get more spirit or something like that, and I think that's fair enough. So you still do have customization in terms of these kind of off-piece weapons and things, items, I guess, but for your main set, it's a little bit more normalized, and I actually think that's fair enough. But don't worry, like, they have definitely added in things to make the gear interesting, so even though the stats and things like that are a little bit more samey, there are more bonus things you can get. So on top of sockets, there is a new thing called tertiary stats that have been added. Now, these actually remind me of some of the Diablo 3 bonus things. So for an example, something may have an extra bonus stat. Stuff like lifesteal, avoidance for AoE damage, no durability lost. Stuff like this is very rare, and there is also a movement speed one which can stack, which I thought was quite cool. Cleave ult, there's also one called Cleave which increases AoE damage, and actually some of these feel similar to Siege of Orgrimmar trinkets. Now first of all, from a gameplay perspective, I think these look like tremendous fun, and they do make gear extremely interesting. Far more interesting than it has been in the past. In a way, if they can get gear that really feels fun, like in, say, an action RPG, then it's great. The only issue is balancing. Now, perhaps some of these tertiary stats are not active in raids. I think that may make a little bit of sense, but it's hard to know. I'm concerned, but I think that if they pull it off, this will be an absolutely fantastic thing. Maybe it'll take a little while to pull it off, but I'd say they'll manage it. Another thing is that these are very, very, very rare, which means that you're not going to have ridiculous amounts of them, so you can't just put on an AoE spec or a set because they're just that damn rare. So yeah, there you go. Now the item squish. The item squish is here. Now most of the item inflation comes from previous tiers, and it's not as massive in terms of a power jump as it was for some old tiers, like say in vanilla. So what they've done now is they've flattened out a whole bunch of zeros. Relative power will not change, so you are still, after an upgrade, going to be relatively, like, just as, your power increase will essentially be just as much, which is, I think, definitely a very good thing. At the end of the day, it's all about making, just making the numbers more manageable, but it still feels great. So time for an example. This is both item level 530 and before and after the Squish. So before the Squish you'd have 500k health, 20k intelligence, and a fireball doing 46k damage. After you would have 30k health, 1k intellect, and about 2200 damage on a fireball. Basically the numbers are far more manageable and they're far more readable. These do actually seem to be rather similar to some of the Wrath numbers, which I think is quite great. Honestly, I'm very happy with this. Now, they also said, and they were very specific, that soloable content is still a thing, and because, like, your relative power to everything else is the exact same, it's only numbers, which means that it'll still feel great. So that's it for items and stats and things like that. Do let me know what you think in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear what people's opinions are on this. Personally, I think it's great. I just hope that tertiary stats end up being a balanced thing. That said, by the way, just as a little bit of devil's advocate argument, you could make the same thing saying about Warforged gear that, oh, well, if you're just lucky, then you'll get so much better gear. Really, would it be much of a difference from that? No. And because this is essentially a replacement for Warforged gear, I don't think it's actually going to be a bit of a problem. They'll work it out. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like if you like, subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you next time.